Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In today's update, we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Epsilon that'll be coming out of the Caribbean after the 20th of the month. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload about 5 videos a week to keep you updated. All right, so let's get started. What you're looking at right now is the overall Nhc Outlook over the next 5 days of developing what is now Invest 93L. The Hurricane Center has actually upgraded this from a 20% to a 30% chance of developing over the next 5 days as it swings west northwest, approaching the Lesser Antilles, eventually getting in towards kind of a lot of the moisture wrapped into the Caribbean. Now, if we take a look at the overall satellite picture and kind of how it all looks right now currently, you can see it's pretty high and dry out there. We've had a very active year, and the atmosphere is more or less what they call reloading at the moment, setting the stage for the next active phase. So there's 2 areas of interest I want you to kind of zoom in on. This is currently Invest 93L, this little highlighted red area that'll be traversing towards the Lesser Antilles, eventually getting into moving west northwest. And there's also a flare up of thunderstorms around Honduras and deep down in the Central America. This is the primary area that I kind of want you to focus on over the next 10 days, because I do think this is the area that Tropical Storm Epsilon will be coming out of, and I'll show you the reasons why. Now, if we take a look at the precipitation over the next 10 days from the Euro model, this has the Invest 93L moving west-northwest, moving into the Lesser Antilles, and eventually swinging northward and kind of petering itself out. And some of that moisture will feed into the Caribbean, and that little disturbance down here by Central America right now will develop a lot of thunderstorm activity along the Caribbean, where we've got really high heat content right now, and where you see abundance of thunderstorms developing. Those are the areas of interest that you kind of want to zoom in on, and having tropical storm development potential as conditions come favorable. If we zoom on to the latest GFS model, this one actually pulls the Invest 93L a little bit further south, feeding a little bit more of that moisture into the Caribbean moisture until that other little disturbance down here by Central America, implying more rainfall for that region. And all this is going to just kind of merge together over the next 10 days, kind of to set the stage for our next tropical storm development. This is the area of interest that you want to focus on over the next 10 days of something coming out and then eventually lifting northward. Now, if we take a look at the guidance from the latest GFS ensemble members, it has a lot of tropical storm members developing out of the Caribbean and lifting northward toward Cuba, some of them getting into Florida. But you can see there's a lot of the members saying something is going to be coming out of that region after the 20th of the month. So this is the area of interest that we're focused on. Now, the latest EPS cyclone guidance has a little bit less. And I know the Euro has been kind of late in the game this year, but it's still implying that we have some sort of tropical storm development down by the Caribbean. Conditions are pretty favorable in this area this time of year. And as you saw with Delta, once this thing forms, it doesn't take long to really take off with the fuel that is down there to take advantage of. So if we take a look at the heat content, and this is what I'm talking about this time of year, this is deep ocean heat content, not sea surface temperatures, but deep ocean waters, and where this Epsilon is potentially going to be forming is over some of those deeper reds of the Caribbean. I think it's going to start developing down here by Honduras, but once it gets into this area, like I said, as we saw with Delta, this is the prime area of interest. I think this thing will really start to develop in a big way and eventually swing towards Cuba and eventually lifting north towards the United States. So if we take a look at the latest EPS guidance, the probability guidance, it has the same thing. Has an area of interest way down there by Honduras, Central America, where they have the Central American gyra kind of developing, and all the dynamics are kind of come together into that region of tropical storm development coming out of this region, eventually lifting northward. Now, if we take a look at the latest GFS overall outlook, by the time the 20th, 21st rolls around, it has a developing low pressure developing down by Central America. And this thing kind of really starts to get its act together once it starts tapping into some of those, warmer waters of the Caribbean. By the time the 22nd rolls around, now we have a pretty potentially tropical storm Epsilon forming by now down in by the Yucatan, by the Caribbean, lifting northward towards Cuba and towards the southeastern part of the U.S. Now, if we take a look at the whole kind of water vapor imagery, there's a cold front. We've been talking about this cold front that's going to be coming to a much stronger cold front by around the 20th of the month. And of course, it depends on the timing of that cold front. Now, obviously, if it comes in faster, this will push Epsilon further south into Cuba and miss Florida altogether, and it would lift off and go out into the open waters. But if that cold front kind of delays for a day or two, that will allow this system, as the cold front kind of, peters itself out, this will allow the system, the winds kind of turn around by that point to the southwest, and eventually this will allow the system to lift further north than it would if the cold front were able to come in faster. So it really depends on the timing of this cold front as it plays out. But if it does slow down, this would allow the system to lift further into reaching into the Gulf of Mexico, and then potentially going into South Florida. So this is the area of interest that we're going to have to see, depending on the whole timing of this cold front, which is really crucial for this developing tropical storm Epsilon, which could potentially be a hurricane by that point, because some of the latest guidance is fairly bullish on this storm as it potentially develops. Now, of course, models have a very difficult time to depict intensity, but like I mentioned, a lot of times, like I said, with Delta, it didn't take long for that thing to really kind of explode over this same deep ocean water content, that's going to be taken advantage of. By that point, we'll have a lot of upward rising motion air to deal with. A lot of the dynamics will start coming together, and so the fuel will be everything will be set for this thing to potentially really start to developing into a pretty big storm, by that point later on after the 20th of the month. But yeah, if this cold front does tend to slow down, this will help lift this storm further north. And of course, we don't want this to happen, but if this were to happen, this would be a pretty strong hurricane by that point, if not a major hurricane approaching South Florida. So like I said, over the next 10 days, this speed of the cold front will be very crucial on where this storm will take place. If it slows down, this will allow the storm to lift further northward and getting into the United States. If it does speed up, this will help push the storm and keep it further south and go into Cuba and miss Florida altogether, and eventually swing off to the northeast. But climatologically speaking, we've had some big storms, and actually we're coming up on the 15th anniversary of Hurricane Wilma. And of course, anybody that's lived in Florida, the Floridians, for any extended period of time, they all remember Wilma, and we do not want this scenario to happen at all, because this was a major intense, if not the most intense hurricane in the Atlantic Basin. So we've had some big name storms that have come out of this region in late October. So the fuel will be set for a lot of potential to come out of this area. So obviously this will be about 10 days out, but this gives you plenty of time to kind of look ahead and plan and watch the development of this Epsilon storm over the next 10 days and kind of where this is going. So it has, plenty advanced warning to be on lookout for the potential of this storm. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you did find value in it, please like it, leave your comments below, and definitely subscribe to my channel and catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.